Lady, the problem isn't in my pants. Mex-Men.
We're like three people talking about how a car starts, but no one's getting in and driving.
Yeah, because nobody knows how the car works.
You put the fucking key in the ignition and you turn it.
Yeah.
You slam the pedal into the nearest...
Yeah, you already forgot to shift it into gear.
Who says I ever shifted out of gear?
That's why your cars are always fucked up.
No.
Welcome to this issue of Mex-Men.
Yeah.
I'm Tony.
I'm Justin.
I'm Devin.
And today we're going to be going over part 4 of Brian Michael Bendis' Uncanny X-Men, which is issues 14 through 19?
18.
14 through 18.
Yeah. It's the first arc that's not even really an arc because it's a bunch of sort of standalone issues.
Yep, it's just a bunch of stuff that happens.
Yeah. I mean, some cool stuff.
Yeah.
Some weird art happens a little bit in there.
I almost said that too, yeah. Towards the end, some real weird art.
Did they change up artists on this at some point?
They had to have then.
The last book
not-
definitely... Yeah, the last book definitely has a different artist.
Yeah. I think Bacalo only did 2 of these 5, or maybe 3.
They had Bacalo, they had Anka, and then they had some weird dude.
Yeah. Which is crazy because that issue, I was just telling Tony this before we started recording, that issue 18 has one of my favorite covers ever. It's so fucking dope. And like there's so much intensity and detail, especially in the X visor. And then the last page is super awesome. And everything in between kind of sucks.
Yeah, I agree. That cover is awesome, and I thought the same thing about that ending page. That's a frameable cover right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a pretty sweet cover.
It makes you like wish everyone made the visor that way.
Even Bendis on that issue didn't. I wondered if he didn't write it.
Let me check.
No, he did write it.
Brian
but
Michael Bendis.
It didn't seem like he did because some of it was trash.
Yeah. They jump back and forth too much. Like they kind of went back when there wasn't a purpose to. Really,
I felt like there was. We can discuss it though when we get to that issue.
But I think we're concentrating a lot how not awesome the cover is of 18, but 16 also had an awesome cover.
It did, and I think Bacalo did do that one, didn't he?
I don't know.
The blood
I like
spat.
16 and 15. 14 was, and 17 were just meh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's get into the meh.
Yeah. So, Uncanny X-Men issue 14, basically the Benjamin Deed story, because it starts with training. It's like all the students are climbing up this mud hill, and Scott's on the top of the mud hill with Emma and Magic, and just sort of yelling standard Scott shit. No powers.
Yeah. That's his training. Is just yelling no powers.
Pretty much. And
I will defend Scott on a lot of shit, but when it comes to how good he is at training, I cannot defend him. He is not a good trainer.
I wish that his own combat stuff, the way he would get used, would reflect his training, because that would make him a much cooler character to watch. But he's only ever using his powers. You only ever just see him staring,
Flexing and shooting, like we
yeah,
said
basically,
last time.
yeah, flexing and shooting, like just shooting concussive, like punches out of his face while making a pose, and it's like, dude, but like, aren't you basically Batman too? Like, you could do so much other stuff, and you don't do it. I mean, that's the fault of the writers, really.
Yeah, I mean the no parents.
Yes.
But yeah, no parents. I mean, then later gets parents, but then like still his dad abandons him because space pirating, you know.
To space.
Well, space pirating's fun.
Yeah.
You know what they kind of gloss over all the time is his dad's kind of
banging
a bad guy.
Oh yeah, banging a cat lady.
Yeah, I mean
Who
dude.
wouldn't? Hepzibah?
Yeah.
You would bang a cat lady?
If her name was Hepzibah.
So like, were you into the whole Cats movie? Are you one of the ones demanding to release the butthole cut?
I was just thinking the
I
butthole
am not
cut.
one of those guys.
All right, I just had to ask.
But no, I actually like the way he trains him because the no powers make sense. A lot of times they don't have powers.
Yeah.
And Scott, even though it doesn't happen a lot, he has beat up some people with no powers. Like when he was in prison, just laying the smackdown on all those buff dudes.
Yeah, and when they did, it wasn't quite a reboot, but it was sort of like a going back in time, the First Class books. Do you remember those? They changed the way the suits looked. They were trying to modernize the X-Men First Class.
Yeah,
It was before they
called
brought
X-Men
them into
First
the-
Class.
Yeah. The book's called X-Men First Class. There's a whole issue where he takes on a Sentinel and he doesn't even have his powers.
That's dope.
Yeah. He beats the fuck out of it, pulling some Batman shit.
That is crazy.
So, I feel like if they showed him do stuff like that more often, he'd be a cooler character, like in terms of like mass appeal. But I don't think it's
you don't
possible
need
for
to,
any of
though.
us to like him more.
Well, yeah.
It'd be kind of weird though. It's like you shoot big blasts out of your eyes, but instead you want to get up close. That's what I don't understand the X of swords.
Because that can kill a person, right? He's all about control and
He can just
mitigating the
kinda
damage he could do. Like if he could
Well, I
beat up
mean-
someone without doing that, why not do that?
I
He
think
can
it'd be
lower
cooler.
the strength.
I think it'd be cooler if they had his powers, like if they showed him using his powers more like in the third season of Daredevil, how Bullseye used his powers, where he's like punching and kicking, but he keeps throwing shit at you the whole time.
Yeah, he could definitely. He could be shooting from the front and like attacking somebody with hands and feet from behind, like somebody who's trying to get him from behind. You know.
Well, or even on like one-on-one, it'd be cool to see like somebody punches at him, he deflects the punch, and then blasts like their leg out from underneath them, and then elbows them in the head or something like that.
So I'm going to make a plug here, and it's for the future. If you'd like to read a book about how Cyclops should really be written, read The Seeker.
I'm gonna edit that out.
Why?
No, we got certain books we're working on. That
Yeah,
buy those when those come out.
exactly. And hopefully when you're listening to this, they are on sale.
This episode's coming out next week.
No, I'm aware, but people go back and listen to this shit way in the future.
I'll update the show notes.
It
Anyway,
is fun. When you think about it though, how powerful his blasts are, and like Tony, how you were talking about, he could like block somebody and then shoot their leg. He could blast a leg off your body
Yeah, but if
if he was full power.
Yeah, if he's trying to disable you, but if he's just trying to fight you, he could easily turn his visor down, so it's just like as much power as like a punch or a kick.
Yeah, it's just funny to think about that he can do that stuff. Like when young Cyclops blasted Beast in the face at like point blank range, it just turned his head when that would have killed him.
I just think
it's
visually,
arbitrary.
that's probably the coolest way to make Cyclops fight without him just standing and flexing.
I agree. They
well,
need to do more of that. More geometry powers.
anyway, what these students need are more muscles. Because they kind of suck. They all get up this... And it doesn't even seem like it's that steep. You look at it, and it's like only maybe 2 feet.
I'm pretty sure that they've been climbing for a while. That's not the whole hill. It's
all we're shown.
I
is my
think
point.
that's the last little bit of what they're climbing.
My
up.
point is, yeah, but that's where he's given up.
I like the idea though that Benjamin is at the base and he's just like, I can't do it, guys. I can't make it up the 2 feet.
Like Emma Frost did this while holding an umbrella and an apple. So I don't know what this dude's complaining
Come on.
about.
You think Emma Frost did this? No, she had magic just bust her up there.
Oh yeah, true, probably.
Emma Frost wasn't doing this.
I like how she she made sure she didn't. Well, I guess she hasn't been wearing white this whole time.
Yeah.
It's a good thing she's no longer wearing white, because then her clothes will look like angel's wings.
Yeah. It's just all dirty. Anyway, so it actually opens with a pretty funny, it opens with a pretty funny moment where Ava is like the first actually reaching the top, and Fabio's right behind her, and they're talking to each other, and he's clearly trying to not look at her butt. Like Bacalo draws Fabio's eyes looking like as far left as he could be.
He's trying to be a good guy.
Yeah.
Like Gold Balls is constantly just trying his best.
I thought you were going to say is constantly getting blue balls.
No, it's constantly. I mean,
He probably
I
is.
haven't seen him in a sex scene in the comics, so who knows? We've seen Glob jerk off.
I'm just saying, you're in a school surrounded by Emma Frost and her clones, and you're not seeing any action, right? So
You don't know that. Between the panels, he's the best one. If you're a chick at that school and you got to choose between any of them there,
yeah.
Angel is there. Come on now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he kind of fucks off.
He's super old.
They're all trying to do that foursome with Jean.
Ew.
They are. That's the love quadrihedron
all-new,
we were
yeah.
talking about.
Yeah, the love quadrihedron. Yeah.
I like how when Goldballs is talking and he's walking up, it's like his actual commentary sounds like he is trying not to look. He's like, how is this all going to work?
Yeah.
I like how you just though the entire plot of current X-Men comics.
Well, I mean, it's a little gross.
All of Dawn of X is like, they're all fucking each other.
And, yeah. And they're eating a guy. Technically.
Yeah.
Because, like, Krakoa's a person. But they're eating
Is he,
all
though?
the fruit off Krakoa. Yeah.
He's an island.
No.
No
he's
man
a
is an
person.
island.
Doug's even, like, he chimes in.
island. That's an old saying, right?
A man owns an island.
Oh, no man is an island.
Yeah, I know exactly.
And he's making Mortal Kombat on it.
Yeah, the
Fucking Dana White.
Dana White, owner of the UFC, wants to make a fight island like Mortal Kombat.
I think he already bought it.
I feel like, did he just watch this movie?
No, but it got canceled anyway.
I like
not
how
happening.
your brain, though, when you hear Mortal Kombat, you're like, the movie? Instead of the video game.
Well, because there wasn't an island in the video game.
Yeah,
There's a lot of video games. One of them has an island.
it was the movie. The movie, like, ripped off, what was it, Game of Death?
The Bruce Lee?
Or no, Enter the Dragon. Enter the
Yeah.
Dragon. Yeah. Bruce Lee
Kareem
shows up.
Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah. No, he's not in that one.
I'm seen. We're getting off track.
Yeah. Anyway, so
This is a good episode.
Ben's struggling really badly to get up this mud hill, basically.
We're still on the first.
Yeah,
page.
we are. And I think Irma, one of them goes to try to help him up, and Scott right away is like, no! You do not help him.
No powers. No
And he's
help.
like, no powers, get up there. And even Benjamin's like, how do you expect me to get up here with no powers? And he even makes a comment like, you all need this training. Like, Scott makes this comment. You all need this training, especially you, Mr. Deeds. And he's like, what is that supposed to mean? He finally gets up. And it's like, well, isn't it obvious what it's supposed to mean? It's like, your powers are shit when it comes to, like, combative stuff. Like, you need to know how to do stuff, like, athletically.
Just calling him Mr. Deeds is so funny.
I know. But they do. They call him Mr. Deeds several times.
Deeds bought us all these?
Yeah, he was egging him on big time. Like, what good are you? He was just dissing him.
He does.
Mr. Longfellow Deeds.
And then just pushes him down like, you ain't shit. You
So I'd
ain't
like
even
to-
a piece of shit.
Yeah, and if you go back into the old X-Men comics when Scott was first training, he uses powers all the fucking time for everything.
Oh, yeah.
It's weird that he has, like, this whole no powers thing.
Well, think about it. How many times are the X-Men in a situation and their powers get neutralized and they're like, fuck!
Yeah,
We're so screwed. If only we knew how to do stuff without our powers.
I just think it's going to be weird when they get into a situation that involves fighting people with their powers and they don't know how to use them because all of Scott's training is powerless.
I think it has to do with the fact times have changed. Like, back then, they were training, like, all day, every day. And now he's trying to kind of get these guys up to speed quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they used to use medicine balls and stuff, and now they got to climb up a mud hill, so.
Well, to be fair, they had those around because, Xavier, it was just his physical therapy stuff. And now he's not around.
Then why did he have that butt thing with the rubber band on it? He can't stand and use that.
When
Wishful
Cyclops
thinking.
is telling Deeds, Mr. Deeds,
Yeah.
what good are you? He is so close to his face. Like, his nose is past his nose. That's how close they are. They're
Yeah.
closer than nose to nose.
And then he pulls the thing like, come on, hit me. You know you want to hit me. And then he's like, everyone wants to hit you. You're Scott Summers. And Emma's all like, good one.
I like how his fighting move
jabs
was
at him.
throwing him down the hill that he finally got up, and now he has to climb back up.
I know. I liked the sequencing though. The paneling of like where he gets up, where he stands back up, and the rain is just sort of pouring on him, and then it goes to him in the shower.
Yeah,
And that's pouring on him?
Visually, it does really, really good.
And then he's leaving the shower, and who is it? Triage is like, he respects you for even trying, right?
Who I want to add is also coming out of the same shower.
Oh yeah, but Goldballs is still in the shower.
Goldballs
He's
is
sleeping with gold balls.
He's sleeping in the shower area.
Yeah.
He's sleeping.
Yeah, but he's still there.
But yeah, they got the towels in front of them like they weren't just hanging dick in the same shower.
Well, now they're going toward their room, so
Yeah.
that might be gross, you know? And he's like, yeah, sure, he respects me. Because, of course, he doesn't.
I like how that's your point, and as soon as he sees a girl, he literally drops his towel.
Yeah. So, yeah, Ben goes into his room, and Emma Frost is just sitting there, and yeah, he drops his towel, and she's like, I believe you've dropped your towel, Mr. Deeds.
It looks like
Also-
she's wearing a Punisher shirt.
I was going to say
Right.
the same thing. Yeah, she's wearing a Punisher shirt. I think it might be how she's sitting, though, because in other panels, it looks like it's just, like, varied lines.
Yeah, when she stands up, it looks different.
I think just, like, for some reason, they're like, she's going to have a punk look in this page. I don't know. It was weird. But she starts intimidatingly, like, grilling him, which, like, it's got to be jarring, right? Like, isn't he the youngest one there?
No.
Who is?
We go over this constantly.
Okay, who is the youngest one? Who?
Goldballs.
He's the youngest?
He's the one that's still in high. It's either him or Triage.
I thought he was working at Hot Dog on a Stick.
God damn it. Every time you bring up Hot Dog on a Stick, he goes to high school still. Now, currently in the comics, he's in high school.
Okay.
Mr. Deeds is in college.
All right.
Yeah, because he got kicked off the campus or something.
Yeah, I don't know how old Triage is. I could also see him being in high school, but
No, he was in college. I
he
remember
wasn't
that being brought up.
Yeah, so Goldballs is the youngest one.
He's the one who was in Ann Arbor.
Yeah.
Triage.
Yeah.
So she's like, so your powers, we don't know what they are fully, but, you know, they're passive, so we have to, like, figure this out. And, like, the whole time, he's like, yeah, I am aware that my powers are passive and stuff. And he's, like, morphing into her
Yeah.
while they're doing that.
Which kind of confirms that. I mean, maybe not before, because he could just kind of vaguely do the face, but now he's definitely grew boobs. He's hiding the boobs.
Yeah, they even, like, pull...
Which they're her boobs. Why are you hiding? You don't need to hide them from her. They're hers.
Well, that's what I was wondering, like, does he completely change sex or something? Because he also, like, hips and everything. Like, his entire body changed.
Yeah.
I don't think he fully changes into somebody. He just kind of resembles them. So
Well-
it wouldn't be like her exact replica.
It was that at first, but it seems like he's growing to look more and more like
His entire body kind of morphs in that page anyway.
Yeah, his body changes, but that's why nobody... Because don't you think people would think it's weird? Like, hey, you look exactly like me. You are me. I'm looking at me right now.
Well, what I'm saying is he's still not exactly like them, but his powers are growing to where he can look more and more like them.
Yeah. And anyway, this is all just Emma Frost pressuring him to use his powers because she suspects that there's more to them than they all understand. And then she notices the light flicker, and she's like, I think your powers did that. And I'm also feeling like a psychosomatic effect from your powers, like relaxing and stuff. And so like, all right, well, we're going to train you, see how your powers actually work in the real world in like different circumstances, because your powers aren't really going to show themselves in the sort of training Scott's putting you through.
And they kind of make a point of it to note that like his powers don't work through pheromones. They work through like electric impulses.
Yes, sort of, but they're still chemically based. That's the weird thing. She says they're chemically based,
Yeah. But I assume the chemical...
but not pheromones. It's weird.
Because what I'm assuming is the chemical is setting off electric impulses in your brain that are making you more comfortable and friendly towards that person, instead of like a full pheromone that is just kind of attracting people.
He's like the perfect modern day chameleon.
No, that'd be the chameleon.
No. I mean, if he's actually stopping cameras and stuff from seeing him. Like if it's electrical impulses fucking with both people's brains and with technology.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he's kind of like a mixture between Chameleon or like Mystique, either one of them. A mixture of them and Bedlam.
I guess I don't know who Bedlam is.
He is Terry Crews.
Terry Crews, the football player?
Ronald Reagan, the actor? Is that what you're saying? Terry Crews and Deadpool 2.
Yeah, no, I was fucking with you. Anyway, So she's like, where do you want to go? Pick anywhere in the world, and we'll magic bus there. And he's like, Atlantic City? And they're like, yeah, let's go there.
She literally gives him the choice of anywhere in the world. He chooses fucking New Jersey.
Yeah. Well, she's even like, that's perfect. And they get there, and she's like, this is disgusting.
Yeah, it's New Jersey. I've never been to New Jersey, but I've heard horrible things.
Yeah. And then this is where his training montage begins, right? Like, first, she's like, go hit on that girl over there, and you're going to make her feel super comfortable because of your superpowers. And he's like...
Creeps her out right away.
He's like, it's not going to work. I don't know how. I'm gay. And she's like, that shouldn't matter at all.
She's like,
Go.
I'm not telling you to fuck her. Just hit on her.
Yeah. And so, yeah, he goes over there, and then right away she leaves, and then she also gets security, and then he sort of gets thrown out. Then he sees a different girl who's got, like, a book, and he's like, I know that book. And then he goes over there, and his powers work, and thus begins the montage of all these people. He suddenly is like, hey, I'm just like you, coat check girl, coffee girl, craps guy, comic book guy, random chick on a bench.
Worst summary ever.
A little bit, because I just stopped writing them. There were more.
And I guess she's reading Stanley Kubrick's Napoleon, if anybody was wondering.
Oh, yeah,
That's
the
what
book
they
that they
were
bonded over. Yeah.
Yeah. And they make a little dig at the movie AI.
So, yeah. And then they end up at a building. And Emma's like, okay, so now we want to test your powers in a practical real-world scenario. She's like, I want you to take this envelope, and I want you to deliver it to, Timothy, right? Timothy Dugan?
Timothy.
Timothy Dugan? It was like Dum Dum Dugan's cousin or something?
He definitely looks like him.
He does look like him, but I thought Dum Dum was dead at this time. Or it was just like a weird android thing. I don't know.
Yeah, who the hell knows what's going on with him?
But anyway, she's like, I want you to take this letter and deliver it to that guy. That's all you got to do. And he's like, that's all you want me to do? And she's like, yep, that's all you got to do. And he's like, all right. And he goes through there. He goes up to the like reception desk, and the guy's like, all right, I'll take it from here. And he's like, no, I got to take this. I got to deliver this to the guy up top. And he's like, all right, you're cool with me. I like your mustache. I almost said it. I realized I said it like every episode now for the past 4 episodes.
Got your catchphrase.
You see, he was about to sign that, or he did sign it. Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because that's all I've been talking to Tony about, basically.
If anybody doesn't know, I'm a huge fan of Scott Pilgrim.
I've never seen it. So.
Which, oddly enough, Tony was like, well, I mean, it could be that, or it could be like Scott Pillman. I'm like, who's Scott Pillman? He's like, I don't know.
He's related to Brian Pillman.
Just a random name.
Flying Brian Pillman. But, you should not only, Justin, see Scott Pilgrim. You should read the book, too, because the book's fantastic.
Yeah, so
I didn't even know there was a book.
Yeah, it's based on a comic.
I didn't know there was a comic.
Yeah, and Edgar Wright directed it. He did all his movies are good.
You're blowing my mind over here.
So he makes it through that. He gets to like this other like second reception desk, and the lady's like, all right, I could take this envelope and give it to Tim. And he's like, no, I gotta deliver it in person. And she's like, all right, that's cool too. And she just lets him on through. And then Dugan's like, hey, young fella, I like the cut of your jib. And he gives him the envelope and then just walks away thinking like, oh, that was no big deal. And then Dugan opens it and reads it and finds it's a letter from Scott, and it says, someone in your organization is creating mutant hunting sentinels and trying to kill my people. Stop them, or we are going to war. Yours truly, Scott Summers.
I like how you signed it all nice. You should have added a little heart.
It's the Terminator theme, if you couldn't tell.
And it's like, upon reading this, Dugan's like, wait, what the fuck? And then everyone's alerted, and the reception lady, who seemed like a cute old lady, is like, this is Agent blah, blah, blah. I got him, like, in holding Benjamin at gunpoint.
Yeah, and then he, like, makes him trip on acid, because I guess his impulses can cause illusions in their brain, too.
No, that was magic.
No, that was magic. That was the demons?
They explicitly said that he was... Or no, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I thought they explicitly said he got himself out of that.
They're thrown. All the shield agents are thrown off because they got this guy surrounded, and then suddenly demons show up, and then he disappears. I'm like, wait, what the fuck just happened?
I like how for a second Scott was like, yeah, but he got caught. And they're like, your note that you wrote got him caught. He did everything perfectly. Your note was like, hey, yeah, you should stop this guy.
Yeah. And he was like, all right, great, fantastic. You still can't fight for shit, but...
But we can use you for something.
Yeah. Basically, he's like the perfect secret agent.
He seemed pretty proud of it. It was Magic who was dissing him.
Oh,
saying he got caught.
Yeah.
Scott was proud that he can actually do something.
Yeah.
He was like, I thought this guy was trash.
Almost the only mutants that have showed, because like he has problems with Deeds and with Hijack, and he's had a couple like the power that screams like that they're the best person or the best power set there is Ava Bell, and Gold Balls is
just
like
fun. He's fun.
Gold Ball's power is like seems pretty useless, but also he's always the one who's like accidentally shooting his powers off and saving everybody.
Well,
he's also hit Cyclops in the head twice.
Yeah.
So Cyclops is like, this guy is not to be messed with.
Yeah, he knows his raw power.
Well, also he doesn't mind him either. Like he's been assaulted by him twice and is like, "You're cool, man."
As much as
Go ahead.
Balls whines, he's not a complainer. If that makes any sense.
Go ahead and keep wearing flip flops into the field. It's a great choice.
Gold Balls is always like, "Oh my God, we're doing this stuff," but he's never like questioning Scott.
He's not whining to Scott. He's whining to everyone.
Yeah.
And it's not even about what they're doing. It's just like, "Oh, this is crazy. Everything's crazy."
It's so funny though. Like, all right, look back through this lens though. That Benjamin was freaked out by the X-Men because they showed up in his school, and then everything went to shit because a Sentinel showed up. No, not even a Sentinel. It was both X-Men teams, and then everything started going crazy. And then Scott comes back, and he basically begs him after he blew up his school because Jean threw him, he broke his neck, visor came off, explosions everywhere. Then he practically begs Benjamin to come and join his X-Men team because that he's gonna help teach him how to use his powers. And Benjamin's like, "Dude, no fucking way." And he goes to walk away, and he's like, "Well, you know what? My parents haven't been returning my phone calls. I probably am homeless. Yeah. All right." And then just a couple weeks later, he's beating the shit out of him in mud, saying, "Don't use your powers. I mean, also your powers wouldn't help you right now." Anyway, but like, you're a little bitch. You need more mud on you. Like, it's crazy. And then he's just like, "I'm so sorry, I'm useless."
And he's like, it's just that part is like vaguely cultish to where like, you're like, I don't want to join, and they're like, "Well, you're out of here," and like, I have nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
My parents, it's been weeks, and my parents still aren't answering me. I've been trying to leave, and my parents hate me. And he's already seen the weirdos on the other X-Men teams, and he doesn't want to go hang out with them.
Yeah. So, anyway, Uncanny X-Men issue 15, Girls' Night.
Girls' Night.
I don't have a lot on this, frankly.
And not a lot really happens up until the end.
I like the beginning. It starts with Magic is with Doctor Strange, because, you know, all this time... since her power freaked out a few issues ago.
She's been getting like counseling from old Doctor Strange in the past.
She's been going back in time and having Doctor Strange, then, who's not a racist, help her control her powers.
Doctor Strange.
Come on, man.
What, is he a racist now?
He's not
a racist now.
He's a little bit.
He knows
an
the
Avenger.
Avengers, and he will call the Avengers. He's not
While we're
Cap Team 6. Like, he's not hanging out with them. He is... Like, he's separated from that. He deals with interdimensional monsters as friends all the time. He is the least racist person. He's got a friend that's a monster.
Oh, I thought you were going to say he's got a friend that's Asian.
He's got
I was going to say that's his
He's
butler,
not
man.
racist.
They're friends.
So,
Friendly.
first page, or the cover, I got to point out, it says the names of everybody. So it says Irma with the black hair.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, it doesn't say the name of everybody, though, because Magic's not there, and it just says the
Magic's in the
Cuckoos
top
for Celeste and what's-her-face. You said
Magic's top
you
left,
say
but it
Celeste?
doesn't say the Cuckoos.
Magic's top left. I'm looking at the cover right now.
Yeah, so am I.
You see Magic?
Yeah, she's above and to the left of Emma.
Right there.
Oh, that's way back there.
Yep. Thrilling.
But I just want to point that out because I think they mess up the name later.
Oh, probably. They eventually
Even with the hair.
They eventually switch one of them to I forget who it is. Who's the one who's not
red hair.
Celestia and not Irma?
I think it's just Celeste.
Celeste?
Yeah, I think it's Celeste.
Celeste.
Celeste, Irma, and is it Phoebe?
That one. They make her a redhead and they don't even bring it up.
Yeah, it just randomly happens.
Yeah.
And then that's the one they call Irma.
And is Irma the one that has also another name that you...
I think that's Mindy,
Mindy. Yeah, Irma is Mindy.
Weird.
Finkel's Einhorn. Einhorn is Finkel.
And they all start throwing up.
This is like Irma's Mindy. Mindy is Irma.
Anyway, that transphobic movie aside.
It is. But that is a funny line.
So, issue 15 starts with Magic sitting across from Doctor Strange, and they're meditating. But in reality, she's taking a nap, and he notices she's taking a nap because she mumbles, "Das Vidanya, bitches." And I thought that was kind of a great moment.
That's just how she constantly speaks in her sleep.
And so he uses a whole spell just to, like, bug her. Like, isn't it, like, the spell of annoyance or something like that?
It was the spell of mild disturbance.
Yeah. Just to sort of wake her up, and then she flips out and then realizes what she's doing and where she's at, and she's like, "Oh, my bad."
Yeah, which
Well, actually, she tries to stab him or cut him in half.
Cut him in
more like.
half.
And he's not shook at all.
No.
She's done that before. That's a dude who's
I like that that's how she wakes up, though.
Yeah, that
You don't wake her up. That's how she wakes up.
he didn't like shake her, and he cast a spell that kind of disturbed him, which also kind of slaps in the face of like magic always, like the bill for magic always is due. Like he cast like a little spell, and he's like, that's small bill. It's like that still should come back in some way, just because you mildly disturbed her.
Like he stubs his toe and is like, "That was payment."
It's like
Like he has to be mildly annoyed later.
Yeah.
I feel like that's her reaction to the smoke alarm going off. Minor disturbance.
I mean, maybe the payback was him being a little frightened by her swinging a sword at him.
So anyway, she goes back to her present time, and right away, Mindy's like, or no, Celeste is like, "Where do you go?" And she's like, "It's none of your business." He's like, "Well, we want to go somewhere, but we don't want to just ask you to take us there, because like, you're our magic bus, but we know you don't like being called the magic bus, but we really want to go." Like basically, they're just like, "Hey, we don't have any clothes and we want to go shopping, so would you take us shopping?"
And I like that she's like, "Why the hell are you asking me?" And they're like, "You're the nice one." She's like, "I'm the nice one?" But then they ask Emma Frost, and she was like, "Yes, let's go."
Yeah. And I like how they're like, "And also we don't have money," and she's like, "Oh right, money."
Let me
and
grab
just
my duffel bag.
grabs a duffel bag and it's just filled with cash, and she's like, "Okay, we got money," and she's like, "This is all your money?" Oh, I think Jean was like, "This is all your money?" And she's like, "Well, it's our money, but by our money, I mean, yes, it's my money."
Yeah, it's my.
It's my money.
So I was led the Hellfire Club. Like I got cash.
Probably like all the cash buried just randomly, all over the country.
Yeah, well, I mean, she can't use banks right now unless it's like a Swiss bank account.
And
I
so,
like that Jean said, "I've been wearing this clothes since like 1963," which was awesome.
which is probably only like 3 weeks ago.
What? And also not true.
But
She
yeah, because
stole
it was
those
the
clothes.
appearance of the
Yeah.
X-Men, so that's why it was so hilarious.
Yeah, when they time traveled to the
She's still wearing the
future,
clothesline.
They didn't bring clothes.
Yeah, they just stole those.
She's talking about the undies.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, that's rough. Yeah, they need to go shopping.
You're like, yeah, please go shopping.
Yeah, and they drag. They go down and get Shadowcat. She's with Scott, and she's like, I'd rather not go shopping. And they're like, "You've been wearing that since 1980. They redo the joke.
Yeah,
Which is her first appearance, too, so I loved it.
Yeah.
I feel like you have a hard time finding any negative in any X-Men
Yeah, I
comic.
kind of said that in a negative way, and Tony kind of seconded it in a negative way. And then you're like, "I know, it was such a great joke."
That's why he aggressively stated how much he loved it.
Well, because I always like those callbacks to the old stuff, so.
I know. It was the fact that it was a callback to their own joke within the same issue is what bugged me. Like, that happened just a page ago.
Well, I don't know. I'd prefer to keep it in one issue than stretch it out. Let's get it over with.
Oh, you want to get it over with? All right. So,
I mean,
the girls
the joke.
want to shop. They go shop. And then they get beaten by an Inhuman who just got their powers, and sort of the end. I mean, we can double back now and talk about this stuff, but that's what happens.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I didn't ask for a speed read. I said
This
I'd rather
isn't
get the
a dense
jokes done
issue,
in one
man.
issue.
No, well, because you see, Finkel is Einhorn. But Einhorn was Finkel.
It's not dense, but it has this character development and actual people talking to each other, which seems to not happen a lot.
There
So I
is
like
that. Jean calls Celeste out for being a bitch. Like, Tempest is like, Jean Grey, can I ask you something? And then she does the whole thing of like, oh, just call me Jean because you keep calling me Jean Grey.
She says Jeannie, which when has she ever wanted to be called Jeannie?
Right?
In what universe?
She's getting used to Logan saying it, I guess.
Oh, weird.
She knows he's about to die, so she's like, yeah, I guess it's cool now.
Yeah.
Foreshadowing.
I don't know, man. It felt like a weird, like, just overall, this book was weird because it felt like, it's not exactly like a girl power thing, but it was definitely meant to be like, hey, here are all the female characters of this X-Men group. Like, you'd think it was like supposed to be a highlight of them characteristically. But what Bendis actually ends up doing is he shows how weak they are because a random Inhuman, like the big buildup is like they go get lunch after they shop, and then they hear cop cars and like fire trucks and stuff, and they go follow that.
Turns out it's just Lil Wayne.
Just driving by.
Just go, wee, wee.
They follow that. They cut through the crowd just to find that it's a cocoon, a Terrigen cocoon.
Terrigen pod.
And right as they get up to it, it bursts open and a brand new Inhuman gets out of it. And then that Inhuman inadvertently beats all of them.
And he's super
without
racist.
even trying.
He's super racist. He's like, no, you mutants are dirty people.
Yeah.
Well, he's got a fish face with holes in it.
Yeah. And then he kind of knocks himself out with his power expenditure. And then AIM shows up and then just collects his body. And even they're like, I mean, should we do anything about these mutants? And like, nah, they're gross.
Yeah, I mean, I think they were trying to show how powerful he is, but I mean, it does kind of come off when, like, it does kind of come off of like, man, he easily knocked all of them out.
Yeah.
But like, to me, like I was saying to you earlier, is like just the fact that it shows Kitty Pryde standing and then falling over. It shows like how strong he is, that even her phasing couldn't stop it.
That was the real show of power, in my opinion, because nobody was ready. They didn't expect him to attack. He didn't even know what was going on. And he took himself out, which, how powerful was that? He just performed self-destruct.
He did. Fucking, he learned that from Kravler.
But the fact that he still hurt Kitty Pryde, even though she phased.
I mean,
is,
fair enough, but
that's
this
a feat.
doesn't come back around until what? Like, you, in a way, you could be like, oh, this is a precursor to after Secret War.
Well, I mean, this is when they start setting up all the Inhuman versus X-Men stuff.
Yeah, I think this is a tie-in to multiple books going on right now.
That's
Minor.
super early then, though, because this doesn't come back into play with the Uncanny run at all.
No, but I mean, they did the Inhuman versus X-Men stuff for a while leading up to that. The whole story arc between them starts as soon as Terrigenesis is a cloud moving across the planet.
They didn't really pick that up, though, until after Secret War.
No, they didn't. I mean, it didn't finish off, but it was a thing. It's a thing right here. It's the cloud's already out there.
I guess. I don't know. I don't remember it at all tying in to any of the major X stuff outside of this. Like, I was surprised to read, like, oh, they were doing Terrigen stuff, like, back this far. Like, I don't know.
This is its own crossover storyline in humanity.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, because obviously we don't read Inhuman stuff besides Donny Cates' 5 issues, but I think the Inhumans were going pretty hard on that, because Miss Marvel is born out of that Terrigenesis cloud. That's how far back that goes.
Miss Marvel's born in this time? I thought
a little
she
bit
wasn't...
before this.
Okay.
And around 2013, that's when Miss Marvel came around, and she was born out of a Terrigenesis cloud.
That's weird that they waited so long to be like, oh, by the way, the Terrigenesis cloud is poison to mutants.
I mean, it was, yeah.
It wasn't poison to mutants until after Secret War.
Yeah, but I mean,
It took a while.
we don't see them really coming contact. But also, there used to be a thing where you could be an Inhuman and a mutant, but
But this
that's
wasn't
a
the
whole-
cloud, though. This was a bomb, they said.
Yeah.
It was a Terrigen bomb.
I mean, maybe they assumed that, but this is the time that clouds were going around.
Yeah, but Jean read his mind, or read minds, and she came up with it from minds.
Yeah, those
Either
people
way,
don't know what they're talking about.
They
That's
get-
fake news.
they
Fake
get
news.
owned
Fake
by a
news.
nobody. And that's
Yeah,
pretty
this
much
was
it.
its own thing. That's why it says issue 15 INH after it for Inhumanity.
Yeah.
And then they wake up, like, sort of like hungover, and they're like, I guess we just leave now, grab our bags of stuff, and,
Yeah.
like, kind of walk a shame back to Weapon X. I mean, the
do like that
Charles Xavier School.
Jean Grey, even though she's in like 50 years after the timeline that she's used to, she still dresses like she's from the 60s. even
Oh,
though
yeah,
she bought
yeah.
new clothes.
Yeah,
And then
I don't think she got dressed yet, did she?
she did.
yeah,
They all
she's wearing
changed.
different clothes.
Oh, yeah. Wow, she looks like she's wearing the same thing. She bought like a new pair of the same.
It's a
clothes.
color scheme, man. But issue 16, before you get into that, I just have to say, you reappear.
I reappear?
Yeah.
Oh, because you called me the guy?
Well, you kind of called yourself that guy.
I think I called all of us that guy. I think I called the three of us that guy.
Well, I think I called you that guy, and you were like, "Well, I didn't want to say it." But, but yeah, the beard, the beard man who's talking about how much he loves Cyclops.
Who's talking about how great Cyclops is. He's not saying he loves him. He's saying he's a hero. He said he looked into his face and saw the face of a hero.
Sounds like he loves him. I mean, it might not be a romantic love. They might not want to be like grinding on each other,
It's
but
admiration.
yeah, which is a form of love.
So, issue 16 brings us back to Ann Arbor. They're having another rally where that Sentinel showed up and fucked things up. And the guy reminds everyone, too, is like, hey, remember when I was up here like a couple weeks ago? And I said that the world was watching. Well, the X-Men were watching, too. And they showed up, and wasn't that awesome? But then also a Sentinel showed up, and then that wasn't awesome.
Me and Cyclops, we're pretty tight now.
But I saw Cyclops, and he is awesome. So, you know.
I looked into his visor, and I saw the visor of a hero.
But the rally now is actually like half pro mutant and half anti mutant, and so you got people yelling that they're abominations and that it's a lie. And Magneto shows up, and they do this cool thing. Bacalo draws like it almost looks as though Magneto is forming his helmet around himself as he's watching this go on, and he's like, there's this moment where he's like, you guys think you remotely understand mutants? You don't come close to understanding our pain. He's like smashing a news van into the crowd.
Yeah, because they say like, "Oh, well, our mutant brothers and sisters," and that's when he lost it. He's
Yeah,
like,
it's like-
brothers and sisters.
It's like, you're not our brothers and sisters.
Like we get slaughtered, and we just stand you. We just see you stand by and do nothing. Although he's doing this at a protest.
I
for,
know,
like,
yeah.
For anti-mutant people. Like it's a supporting mutant rally.
It is. But that's just showing that that villain is still there in like the back of his head, because this all turns out to just be thoughts, but I thought it was really cool how Bacalo draws the helmet forming around him, and then he draws that he forms his old suit, the villain suit, on him, and it's all in red, and he's like destroying everything, and then you see that he's just thinking it all.
It's nice to see that even though he's been on Scott's side and kind of like with the X-Men, the old Magneto is still kind of there.
Yeah.
The one who just wants to kill all the humans so that the mutants can just take their place.
Well, he just thinks they're like kind of full of it. Like they're just saying that, but they don't really believe it. So you want to feel what it is to be a mutant? You want to be like us? Let Magneto show you. And he's like attacking them all.
I don't know, right? Because you could say that, especially early on, the school that Benjamin Deeds is from, like that was like that whole thing, right? They were having a pro-mutant rally, but as soon as there was a disturbance there that involved mutants, they were suddenly anti-mutant and were like, nope, we're not helping you. Like, in this moment, you have a group that was attacked, and they still formed back together, and there's still a bunch of pro-mutant people.
Yeah, and it wasn't perfectly clear whether or not it was like, because it could be one of two things. It could be almost the same crowd, and some people have switched, or now they got so big that they're attracting anti-mutant people there as well.
Who are like, what are you talking about? They brought that destruction on us, and you know.
Yeah, that's why it's more anti-mutant now, because it went to crap last time.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, is that the fact that they're still pro-mutants is like, at least those people at that rally could say,
that dude was not shook about Cyclops at all.
No, not at all.
Like, Devin did not. He was still praising him.
Yeah, so I've only been to Ann Arbor twice, man. Both times this rally.
Yeah, this rally. Were they around 2013? Is that when you were there?
Yeah, actually. So
yeah, Magneto looks really bad right here because he's drooling.
He's drooling?
Straight up drooling.
He's thinking
Middle
about
of the day.
how much he wants to destroy him. And salivating.
And Dazzler shows up, and she's like, so why'd you call me here? And
Eric.
Yeah, and he's like, you don't get to call me Eric. It's Magneto to you.
Fine, Max.
It's Dr. Magneto.
I am Magneto.
Yeah, so basically it's a long conversation that ends with, well, it doesn't even quite end with it because they keep it going a little bit through the pages, because they like do a flash forward while also still having this conversation.
He has one of the most badass lines to her, though, when he's talking about his powers, and she's like, I thought your powers were messing up. Like, you can't throw a tank anymore, can you? And he's like, no, but I can do it with a bullet or a knife.
Yeah. And she does bring up, like, you ever think it might be psychosomatic?
In your head.
And he kind of has this whole, like, what'd you just say? Like,
Yeah, he looked
Psycho, like,
mad.
you don't
He
think
wasn't
I know
happy.
how my powers work?
What you talking about, Willis?
Fucking master of magnetism, man.
I've been doing this since
63.
No, since the 40s
I know.
in Nazi Germany.
I was recalling their own joke. But
He's been wearing those same damn clothes.
but she basically brings up that, like, yeah, something crazy is happening in Madripoor, where mutants just seem to be flocking there, and he goes to investigate why that is.
And he even grew a beard for this. Or a goatee and a mustache.
Yeah.
I mean,
He
you're
looks
not wrong, because he probably grew a beard, shaved the sides into a goatee. So, I mean, you're right.
He looks
Well,
like
so what's the question, though? Is it real? Or is that stick-on?
He stopped to get some of that put on.
he looks sort of like what is it, like a Colombian drug lord?
Yeah,
Like, he's got like that vibe going on about him.
Yeah, and I think this whole scene here, they kind of did based off of that scene in First Class.
In the First Class movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, where he's interrogating the Nazis at the bar. That awesome
So
scene.
fucking cool. So he gets there, and so a couple things happen. In the background, you see like some like a happy mutant kind of walking on air in a black and green suit, and you see Sabretooth like look over his shoulder at him, and then the next page you see Sabretooth beating the shit out of somebody, and all you'd see are like black and green legs like with white boots sticking up from the ground. Like he saw that guy who was happy and just dragged him down and started beating the shit out of him for no reason.
And they do show
I
him.
didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
They do show him staring at that guy while he's walking.
Yeah.
So he's like.
So it's premeditated. He's like, that guy's having a good time. Fuck, not on my watch.
Yeah, right.
Not in Madripoor.
And also, they show Mystique as Dazzler walking across the street. Like, while that's happening. You can see that, like, when Sabretooth is beating the shit out of that guy, that Dazzler's just walking across the street right behind Magneto.
Oh, yep, because she's wearing the same clothes she was when she walked away from Magneto.
Yeah.
So
Which-
they show you right there. You had Dazzler and Sabretooth are both there.
Which is crazy because, like, later we find out that it's, like, this whole elaborate reveal where she shows up in a helicopter wearing her S.H.I.E.L.D. uniform, dressed as Dazzler, and then, like, reverts back to Mystique. So she went far out of her way to go from tailing him to then running ahead of him to pull off the whole, like, helicopter entrance.
she tried so hard for this to make it look cool.
For such a shitty return on her investment.
I like to think she was not even thinking about Magneto. She was just there with Sabretooth, like, that's the guy. He's the happy one.
Yeah, but then
take him out.
Well, why would she bother being dressed up as Dazzler?
Because she's the mutant liaison, man. She can't break character.
She's gonna be walking around as Mystique.
So, anyway, Magneto sees, like, he's kind of following this group of like kind of youngish looking mutants who are talking about Judd Apatow movies. Yeah. As they go up to this bar,
they say every movie he writes ends with an old white guy on a bike.
They see them go up to this bar, and then they get something, and he sees that it's mutant growth hormone, which is also weird that, like, mutants are taking MGH, because usually it's like regular humans taking MGH to get powers.
I assume that everybody there isn't a mutant. I think it's just a place that mutants can be free to be mutants. But Madripoor was a full country with people in it. I think they're still there.
I can see that. Here's the only thing that's throwing me off, right? Anytime that they have to draw a place that's supposedly filled with mutants, they almost always revert to, like, lizard-looking people and just making them out like obvious, overt mutants, right?
Yeah.
And the implication is Madripoor is now filled with mutants. So once you start seeing Magneto walking around and there's a bunch of crazy-looking people, you just assume they're mutants because that's the subject of the matter.
Yeah. Also, there's a little part while they're buying the MGH that I think it's kind of Brian Michael Bendis' take on white comic book writers writing black characters, because the guy is saying, like, how much longer we gotta wait here, yo? And they're like, yo, what the? Why are you talking like that? Like, because anytime you ever read, most of the time you read a white comic book writer write a black character, they're aggressively trying to use slang that's outdated by like 15 years.
Yeah, I wonder if we're gonna, like, 10 years from now we read a book and they're saying fleek.
Oh, that'd be so annoying.
I hope not.
I'm surprised they haven't started putting ham. Like, this year should be the year they start putting ham in books.
Like people going ham.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I think we might have overpassed ham.
That's what we're saying. Their writers are about 15 years too late on slang.
So anyway, this is when they have that whole bar fight, because he goes in there looking to see who's selling the MGH and also wanting to know who's like the leader, who's the one running Madripoor, because before then it was like, you know,
owned it.
AIM or in Hydra, like, they owned Madripoor, and now they don't because Mystique, obviously, she had Hydra clash with the Hand and all that shit.
Yeah, and we saw Mystique attempting to get Madripoor in the all-new...
buy it, yeah.
Yeah, in the all-new stories.
So, they give up, what is it, an address or something? Because he ends up in front of that building and meets Blob, and he still doesn't know who's running it. And he's like, Blob, is this you? And Blob's like, oh, man, I'm so glad you think I'm that smart.
It's Party Boy Blob. He's got, like, a Hawaiian shirt, which they will make Hawaiian shirts to fit any size. It doesn't matter how big you are.
You just have to be big.
Yeah, Blob is wearing it.
Fun fact.
Yeah, it's Hydra Tower. That was the only information they gave him.
Right.
Hydra Tower.
Fun fact, you actually can't get a Hawaiian shirt in a small or even a medium.
No, you have to get a large, extra large and cut it.
Yeah. And at that point, it's like, why are you even bothering?
Yeah, take it to a seamstress or something.
Well, the good thing with the Hawaiian shirt is you can wear one that's 10 sizes too big for you, but just never button it up. So it just is hanging off you like a cape.
So they go up to the roof, and Blob's like, hey, remember these guys? And it's Silver Samurai and Sabretooth. And Sabretooth's probably thinking, yeah, man, I saw you the other day when I was beating the shit out of some green guy.
Just now. You're downstairs.
Yeah. And so now he's like, Creed, is this you? Did you do all this?
He's asking everybody.
Yeah. Who did this? He sounds like
the valet.
He sounds like,
is this you? Did you do this?
He sounds like an old confused man. Like, who are you? Who's responsible here? Who's keeping me here?
But the funniest thing is, everyone's assuming he's, like, happy. That he's like, yeah, isn't it great? And he's, like, looking for someone to thank or something. And Mystique shows up in the helicopter. And Alice is Dazzler initially. And he's like, Blair, you brought me all the way. You could have told me this weeks ago, like in person.
To be fair on that, though, he does look like an old white guy on vacation who, like, you know the old white guys that yell at their wife in public and it makes everybody uncomfortable? He's dressed like that.
Yeah.
With the goatee and the shaved head and the open coat.
Yeah. And
He
she's
looks like a
was
white guy
mad
trying
yet.
to act Cuban.
the crazy thing is how did he not already guess it was Mystique? How did it take him so long? Why did he actually need a reveal? And so, yeah, he's like, well, not quite Allison Blair, and it's Mystique. And then she's like going off on how amazing it all is. And what I like is what ends up happening, you actually see the subtle moments in the panels. Like, you see Silver Samurai kind of like, wait, what the fuck's going on? And you see the magnetic waves, like, leaving Magneto and kind of going around Silver Samurai. And to the point where Mystique is talking, and he's just sort of like, no, fuck all this. And he has Silver Samurai stab Mystique. And then he just has a pocket full of bullets, and he has that riddle like everyone else. And he's just like, I am disappointed in all of you. I hate all of you. This is all terrible. The mutant growth hormone and the...
Just for some reason, the way you said that, I'm picturing while he's doing all this, he is singing that Natasha Bedingfield song or whatever her name is, Pocket Full of Sunshine, but it's bullets.
I got a pocket full of bullets.
Take me away. Just riddling them.
I don't know how. Do bullets hurt Blob though?
Right? That was weird.
I mean, maybe hurt him. It probably won't kill him, but...
I mean, he got up first, but I couldn't even imagine him going down, to be honest.
That's kind of his only option. I
I
can't imagine him doing
he's
anything
so
else.
big you can't see his dick, yeah.
But it was dope because even with his powers like drastically cut, he still just demolished them all.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, to be honest,
Bullets
that's a
will do
writer's
that.
thing. Sabretooth should have been backup. Wolverine will take a machine gun and keep running. Blob takes 5, or Sabretooth will take 5 and go down. Like, really?
Well, I mean, it is Magneto. He could have, like,
Well, maybe
had
it's
him
'cause they're
ricochet
off guard,
around in
too.
there and then pulled him out.
Yeah, he could have. You're right.
And they weren't ready for a fight. He just started launching bullets at him.
Yeah, they were kind
Yeah,
of
but
like...
the healing factor doesn't need to prepare. That thing just goes.
Like, they literally tell him, like, every time you've tried to do something on this scale, you invited us, so we thought it was only right to invite you. And he was just like, fuck your plan. Fuck all this. Fuck you guys.
And then he spins off into his own book.
Yeah. It cuts back to the X-Men at the new Xavier school, and they're like, so Magneto's been gone for a while, huh? It's like, yeah, but where else is he gonna go? He'll be back. And then he's never back.
He's never seen or heard from again.
And I don't know if we're gonna cover that, but it is a dope story.
We'll cover
We
it.
should. It's so good.
Yeah,
Eventually. We'll get to it eventually.
well, it's on our... Do you not have the dossier that we wrote?
I don't have the dossier.
I spent so long on
You
it.
didn't put it in a manila folder? And that's the only way I take dossiers. Is in manila folders.
See, it's irresponsible to mail stuff to each other right now.
We share an office.
Yeah, but like 30 people aren't touching me on the way to
30
come-
people will touch the dossier in the manila folder that you make?
that I mail, yeah.
We share an office. You don't mail it.
We don't have mail here.
Bring it into the office.
You don't bring
leave
in
it on the
envelopes.
table.
You can only mail envelopes. Otherwise, why is it in an envelope?
I have been saying manila folder. Why are you thinking envelope?
Why would you need a folder? Where am I gonna
Because
buy
that's
one?
the only
Where am
way-
I gonna buy
That's
one?
where you
All the
put
stores
dossiers.
are closed, Devin.
That's where you put dossiers.
I'll just email it to you. Get to the future, like the rest of us.
Manila folders are essential, so I'm sure you can pick one.
Manila folders are a mountain range.
We're not goddamn third grade. We don't need a manila folder. I'll just come here with a filing cabinet and drop it off to you.
What is it? We're not in 3rd grade, or we're not secret agents.
But that's
Both.
How,
Third graders are
dossiers
not-
are for secret agents.
Your sentence implies that all third graders are secret agents, and that's just not true.
Well, both of those use Manila
But
folders.
also, isn't it true?
Detectives.
Don't all
They
third
can't
graders
keep-
think that they could be a secret agent?
I mean, probably, but a lot of people do. It doesn't mean you're good at it. Anyway, so going into book 17.
is their field trip that's not a field trip.
Yeah. It opens up on on Ava Bell bent over, showing her butt.
That happens a lot, huh?
Yeah, right there, it's like pretty.
Oh yeah.
She like the other one that was just like.
To be fair, Bacalo is also showing you gold balls, but
He is, and a lot of his gold balls.
yeah.
So there's a lot of it's got a little something for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he draws it, he doesn't try to like
It's not
sexualize it or anything. Yeah.
So anyway, Magic, yeah, she shows up.
How can you look at Magic's costume and say that with a straight face? How they draw Magic's costume.
or Emma
It's got
Frost,
a boob
frankly.
window.
Frankly,
but
Emma
still.
Frost is just two long pasties.
Yeah, but she's like that. I feel like that fits with her
Whoever,
character
who
because
is,
they
yeah.
always have it. But Magic, like, she's not trying to attract a dude or a girl. She's just got her boobs are out there. She doesn't try to make out with anybody until the current run of New Mutants.
Yeah, fair enough. She does ask them if they wanted to make out. And they're like, no. And then the one chick's
one's
like,
kinda.
sorta. They're like, oh, well.
She's like, I saw the boob window. So.
Well, they're hypersexualized now. They gotta fuck, right? They gotta make more.
Yeah, well, all the X-Men books now are about banging.
So Magic's like, have fun, and just drops them off in Tubla Rasa.
No, it's Montana.
No.
It's the Savage.
God damn it. It's neither. It's Montana.
They're still in the danger room.
No, it's not. The place in which they are is called Tubla Rasa. It's the place in Montana. It was a small town that got hyper evolved. It had happened over the Gillen run during the Utopia books.
You're taking this very seriously when we were obviously joking with you.
Yes.
So one of the Stepford Cuckoos finally dyed their hair red.
Yeah, and they don't even bring it up. They made a big deal about like her threatening to do it for the longest time, and then she finally does it, and they're just like, all right, whatever.
She made a big deal about her threatening to do it. Nobody else ever answered her on that.
No,
No, I think Celeste did.
Celeste, I almost called her Celeste again. Celeste was always like, you are not doing that.
You know what's fucking you
Yeah.
up on that is the
That it ends with an
Sinisty Pokemon.
Oh, maybe.
So Celeste, Sinisty.
So right away they're like, we don't know where we are. And Hijack's like, I got a phone. They're like, what, you got a phone? He's like, yeah, I got a phone. He's like, you're not supposed to have a phone. Professor Cyclops said that S.H.I.E.L.D. could track us with our phones. And he's like, that's no big deal. I got a phone. We're in
He's
Montana.
like, I got a contract. I'm not about to get rid of this before the contract's up.
I know,
Right.
Maybe y'all have burners, but I have to pay this to a certain point.
Such a stupid thing.
It might have just been how I read it, but I assumed he meant like the work contract because he was an illustrator.
That is literally what I thought too. But when you just said it out loud,
That
I'm
makes
like,
perfect
oh
sense
yeah,
to
it
me.
makes perfect sense. Why did what we think, like why was that even a thing? Why did we even go there? In our
Well, because
minds?
they expressly show him making like the
yeah, he's an illustrator,
yeah.
and they made a big deal out of it.
So it could be either way, really.
Yeah.
I like it more though as like instead of he has work that has to be done, it's way more entertaining that he already paid for the phone and he's not gonna waste it.
So they start getting chased by weird, like hyper evolved bird dinosaurs, and they split up because that's what you're not supposed to do. And
That's exactly what you do when you're chased by a giant monster. You're thinking of psychopaths. You don't split up with psychopaths because then they can pick you off one at one. But when it's a giant bird, you're supposed to run in different directions, so it confuses it.
no, but they're also supposed to be surviving the space they're in.
Yeah, but they're not very good at that.
Exactly.
So you got to do the run thing in different directions.
and hope that the other ones die and not you.
Yeah, serpentine pattern.
So gold balls.
So are you gonna fight an alligator or are you gonna run?
Gold balls, and
Gold balls, gold balled.
gold balls. Correct. And the bird dinosaur thing chokes on it. Now, is that redundant? Like, aren't dinosaurs birds?
Yeah.
All right, so never mind. The dinosaur chokes on it and trips over, and like that's the end of that thing. But then also Tempest is just gone. Like Ava threw up a time bubble and then just disappeared.
It looked like it like landed on her and she like dispersed to earlier, like before all this.
Actually,
It didn't actually show it.
it
It
doesn't
just
show it in this issue. She
and, like,
flashes forward in time. Actually,
all right, 'cause I haven't read after this yet, so what I assumed happens with her is that she went back in time and had been surviving there for a while, and that's why her clothes were all torn up when she comes
Seems
back.
like it, but it's literally the opposite.
Yeah, we should read that, by the way.
Yeah.
Aren't we?
Sort of.
Is it?
It happens. It's like an annual thing that happens.
2 annuals, yeah.
Yeah, 2 different annuals. They're good. It's 2099 stuff.
I hate.
I know.
2099 is
That's why I brought it up.
Nothing shocking pisses me off more than 2099 books.
That is shocking.
That is fucking.
So, yeah. Anyway, I'm just
Couple of
triage.
Jar Jar Binks with less design. Sure.
Triage starts screaming because he sees a spider, and one of the cuckoos is like, "Dude, we've literally been to hell and fought demons, and you're freaked out over like spiders." And he's like, "But they're gross."
And they're like brave.
Pretty much. And he's like, "Oh, did you just make me brave?" And they're like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, thanks. You should do that more often."
This is that point where I was talking about, because the red-haired cuckoo says we are in a dangerous situation and screaming just doesn't cut it. And he says, "Sorry, Irma."
Yeah, who cares at this point, you know?
I care, okay?
With the cuckoos, I don't even sorta.
Well,
I
because
feel like that was the point of changing the hair, so that you can get them correct. And then the first thing they do, she just dyed her hair red, and that's the first thing they do.
But they also fucked them up anyway. So, like, who cares, you know?
the Stepford Cuckoo, I can't even begin to imagine, because I know how much trouble me and Justin have with them. I can't imagine how much trouble you have with them, because you can't tell
Real
unrelated blonde women apart, let alone like triplets
Who aren't even real.
that are a clone of something else.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You take that.
I mean, it might be a problem I have. Anyway. So, I forget who shows up. Is it Benjamin?
Fabio.
Huh?
Fabio shows up, and he was like,
Oh, yeah.
"Whoa,
We heard someone
which
screaming.
one of you girls was screaming?"
Yeah.
It was triage.
Yeah. Anyway, they end up all linking back up together. Oh, a crazy thing happens with Benjamin, because one of the cuckoos starts freaking out because Celeste tries to read the mind of these beings they run into, and she like goes comatose, it seems like, and Benjamin goes up to them and starts morphing into them, thinking that they're like communicating or finding some sort of common ground. And whatever it is, it's just enough for Celeste to like get out of her funk, and she's like, "Those aren't friendly creatures at all," and they get all like
They're
crazy monsters.
That will always be funny to me. That will never get old for me.
Anyway, they get all like weird vampire-y. They go to try to eat them, and they chase them.
What it reminds me of is the aliens from The World's End. Have you seen that movie?
No, but it did just make me think of what's his face, I Am Legend. They're kind of like those.
Yeah, in The World's End, they're just like normal people, and then once they are trying to like, they enter in battle, and they're like, "All right, talking's done." Mm-hmm. They open their mouth, and they're like, "Ah!" And it's like an alarm noise that comes out.
Oh, weird. And then Ava shows back up, and she's all like sexified because her clothes are like torn and her hair's longer, and she even looks sort of older.
She has abs.
And she time bubbles them just in time for S.H.I.E.L.D. to show up and surround them and be like, "Hey, you guys, you're coming with us." And Hijack's like, "No, we're not." And he hijacks their armors and has them turn their own guns on themselves. And then Magic busses them away.
I think armor's
Yep.
already
So he can actually use his powers on stuff that's not a vehicle.
Yeah, that's what I was
the
saying.
first instance.
That's what I was trying to say. Weeks ago, when they first introduced him, we were talking about how weird his power would be if it's just vehicles. So he must have a control just over general technology.
Which, like,
Yeah, so that's
why
good.
didn't he tell his phone not to emit a signal? Or at the very least be like, "Hey, bud, if someone tries to, like, hack you, let me know."
I actually have the answer for that. He's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you can consider that armor a vehicle.
Yeah, kind of. Like,
They're piloting it.
Yeah.
That I like though at first because it just kind of looks like they're robots, but they like all the robots aim the guns, and then you hear the dudes' voices being like, we're not doing this. We can't stop it. Sorry.
It's like the same thing Silver Samurai said. It's like, I'm not doing this. Fucking Magneto, stop it.
Yeah, because we kind of glossed over how he just stabs Mystique.
Yeah, I said it. I just didn't dwell on it.
I glossed over it.
Oh, okay. You're just sitting right next to me. Yeah, so they go back. They get Magic Bust back to the school, and Scott's like, so you failed. You sucked. What was that shit? You brought a phone? You had a phone? I didn't, like, when I said they could track you by your phone, I wasn't being cute. They can track you by your phone. And then I think Celeste was like, hey, that's not fair. We didn't, like, all fail. And he's like, no, that's true. I didn't mean all you guys. You guys did well. Fabio, take a bow.
Yeah, he was like, my boy Fabio killed it. Always killing it. Love you, boo-boo.
Killed that bird.
Yeah. Like, nailed it. It's just this motherfucker I'm talking to.
Yeah, he failed.
Who kept a phone because of a contract?
Yeah. The only phones we have here operate the danger room.
We're rogue mutant revolutionaries. We don't give a shit about contracts.
He's like, what, you got credit cards on you too?
You
So
bow
they were
down
all
to
standing
Sprint?
up. They were all standing up when they did that, or when they got teleported by magic, and then when they show up, Fabio's just on the ground with gold balls everywhere.
Yeah. He can't help himself.
He did not take that well.
He just shoots his balls everywhere.
An admiral cause if there ever was one.
And then, Admiral calls.
Mr. Vaughn.
And then, he's like, wait, are you serious? I'm seriously, like, getting kicked off the team because of a cell phone? And, Magic's like, yeah, just be grateful you didn't kill someone. He just drops her. She just drops him off in front of his old apartment. Which is kind of like, I don't even live here anymore. Like, you think I kept paying this rent?
He probably did. He kept up on his phone bill.
Well, he prepaid that contract.
He still had minutes.
Yeah. So,
He's like, my girlfriend's not even here anymore. My car's gone. I drove that away with my head. Yeah, now we get into the book whose cover we've been talking about.
Yeah.
The beginning, where
Issue 18.
it's a gun at Cyclops said.
Yeah. Cyclops Confessions.
Yep.
This is where he turns into Usher.
And Rudy does the art for this.
Well, it was bad.
I think the art's not that bad. I
It's
think
kind of bad.
Paneling is kind of trash.
No, the paneling is 100% trash. Anytime he does a close-up on a face, it's terrible. I don't know what his line work, like, what the point of... all their faces look dirty.
He's hit and miss. Like, I kind of like that when the paneling kind of changes. It doesn't work for...
Of these pages.
Well, what I'm saying is the paneling does not work if you're reading it online because the smart paneling doesn't know what the hell to do.
It's not just that. Everyone looks like their faces are covered in soot.
Yes.
That's annoying.
Well, they're written by Charlton Heston, or not Charlton Heston. Not Rob. Who's the person I'm thinking of who writes the Christmas Carol?
Charles Dickinson?
Yeah, Charles Dickinson, not Charlton Heston.
I was gonna say, like,
Isn't it just Dickens?
Dickens.
Dickinson?
Yeah, Charles Dickens. Yeah.
It took 3 of us dumbasses to come up with that one guy's name.
Well, I was gonna say
Teamwork.
he's just like a little British orphan.
Yeah.
Like, that's how he's drawing everyone. It's not what he's drawing that's bad. It's just, I don't know. And any close up to a face is strange, and like hair choices are weird. I don't know. There's always a thing going on where it's just like, why is that a thing? Otherwise, it would have been great, but so much of it just bugs me rather than is like entertaining or cool.
Yeah, and the book jumps around a whole lot between timelines, and it's hard to read the jump sometimes just because like the background will be white and the letters will be white.
If I ever end up reading a comment that it's because art is supposed to bother you, I'm going to reach through and smack somebody. Like, I'll develop the power to reach through technology.
You're like a cooler hijack.
Hey, isn't he Hispanic? Or is he just Asian?
No, he's Asian.
And what is that?
Justin.
That's a good question.
Justin just sent us a picture. Justin will post it, but they have one of the cuckoos, the skirts all the way up, and there's something in between the legs, but you can't really tell what it is.
But it's flesh colored for some reason.
Justin will post the picture when this episode goes up of that.
Yeah, that was very strange. I don't know.
So check out our Facebook and our Twitter and Instagram to see that picture.
Yep. So issue 18
at Mex-Men Podcast.
Scott's team and his students, they arrive back at the school from doing something, and they're complaining still about Hijack being gone. Like, well, some are, and others are defending. Like, this isn't a 3 strikes and you're out thing. This is a 1 strike and you're out. Like, he fucked up royally.
Yeah,
like,
he put everybody's life in danger because he wanted his phone still.
Yeah. Like, even, I think Benjamin is actually on Scott's side of, like I liked him too, but he fucked up.
Yeah, it seemed like...
And Scott pushed me down mud.
Like, even Ava, who was talking about how she wanted him back, was still kind of on Scott's side. She was just like, it just sucks that he's gone.
Yeah.
She's like, I get it. And what was it? Triage is the one who's like, what? We're just out as soon as we mess up once? Yeah. And Scott's like, yeah, you mess up. It can kill everybody here, so you can't mess up.
Like, how many students we've had before this and, like, dead.
You can't be done goofing. You gotta be not goofing.
You can't get caught goofing, and the best way to not get caught goofing, don't goof.
You don't goof. You don't goof the goofer.
Because when you're done goofed, you end up like David Bond.
Goof me once. Shame on me. Goof me twice. Don't goof the goofer.
Anyway, they realize that the original X-Men who have been staying with them the past week are no longer there. And they're like, where'd they go? Because this doesn't make sense. We have the only jet, and we just got back in it. So, and Magic was with us, so she couldn't have teleported them out of here. And
we locked the doors.
Which is, I don't think we brought that point up before, but, like, when they left, they just kind of stole a jet.
When who left?
The first class with Kitty, they just took a jet.
Oh, I thought Magic brought them.
You would think that, but where'd they get a jet then?
They didn't. That was the whole point, is that they didn't have the jet, that Scott and them had the jet. So they were trying to figure out what happened to the team because they should have been there.
But how did Scott and them have the jet?
Oh, their initial jet. Yeah, they just stole a jet, yeah.
Yeah, they just, I think when Kitty and the first class X-Men came over, they stole a jet.
No, they've been had it.
They stole somebody's
Remember,
jet.
because they showed Hijack pick it up.
Well,
you know what they did? They had Magneto carry it.
It doesn't even fly. They just have Magneto push it everywhere.
Like, he had to have pushed it because he couldn't even use his powers. He just pushed it by hand.
He's like one of those world's strongest men that have it, like, strapped to his back.
I mean, they got 90s Magneto to do it, though. Like, that buff.
That's how he got swole.
So why he's so jacked? Get out and push, Magneto.
Taking all that human growth hormone.
Which is like...
steroids.
That's basically all Jean does in the original X-Men movies, is just push the plane sometimes.
Yeah. Or tell people she's holding back a waterfall.
Yeah. Which she could have easily have done inside the jet.
So anyway, they're looking around and they see that there's like signs of a struggle, and Scott finds a Shi'ar weapon and they realize, oh, they got picked up like by aliens. And even Ava's like, wait, aliens? Like, yeah, aliens.
I think they're doing that. Every time they say aliens, they do that meme.
Yeah.
It's like, you mean like aliens or like
aliens? And then it time lapses 2 weeks prior. And it's Scott, and he's like trying to like focus on his blast. Yeah. Well, with powers. This whole point is trying to fix his broken powers. And this had to have been right after Battle of the Atom.
I think he's definitely listening to Seether the entire time while he's training.
I don't get it.
Featuring Amy Lee from Evanescence.
That's the Evanescence song? That's the Wake Me Up?
No.
Because that's the Electra training one. That'd be hilarious.
No. It's the Cause I'm Broken. Everybody's heard that song.
Either way, it's an Evanescence training song.
Yeah.
Like, it's a training.
I'll play it for you after this. Okay. You're going to be like, yeah, I've definitely done. But he's definitely listening to that song crying about his powers.
He literally, like, ends up in, like, in a backflip because his powers go crazy and he just flings his whole body away. And then he's, like, getting up in the snow and Magic shows up and she just has Shadowcat there. And he's like, And she's like, hey, here's Kitty, our friend. You have things to talk about. And then leaves. And then he's just like, wait, what? This is something we talk about first. You don't just... And then there's the whole, like, Batman thing that happens. And he's like, I hate it when she does that.
This bugged me.
You told him about my secret base.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but this bugged me because at this point it's getting kind of lazy. Of how many times have we read Scott saying the same thing? Of I wasn't in control, it was the Phoenix doing it, but I'm mad at myself and I accept responsibility, but I would kill myself if I actually had killed Charles Xavier on my own. It's the same conversation. We've read it 6 times, and he said it to Kitty before.
But it's the first time with Kitty by themselves, and she's about to kill him.
But he said it to her at the mansion with other people there. She wanted to hear him say it alone.
I guess.
Well, he had to rehearse the speech. He was about to die. He has
the first time
fingers in his head.
The first time it was unconvincing, but he said it so much that she's like, you know what, you're getting pretty good at this now.
I think that I don't know. Like, I think it makes sense, but also it is tiring that we keep hearing it. Like, maybe if we didn't hear it a couple of times prior to this and then this happened.
Everybody already knows what his thoughts on this are, and I don't... especially since the exposition is for the reader. It's not really for the characters, especially when you've seen them do that with them in that area before. So she's heard this whole thing. We don't need to read it again. There was not really a point for this whole fight.
Unless the point isn't for exposition. The point is to drive home that even Scott doesn't actually know. Like, if that's the case, then actually this makes sense.
Then they've drove it home plenty of times already.
Well...
Yeah, this is what was weird. It seemed like Bendis didn't write this, because Kitty's out of character here. First of all, because she's got her hand phased through Scott's head, she's going to lose that hand.
No, they show her do that a good amount of times where she can, like, unphase.
Just enough. Scott says, so you're going to unphase your hand just enough and kill me, right? Like...
Well, she's done that before, too, and they've said somebody who actually knows her powers. Most of the time she's bluffing because they don't know her powers.
Yeah, but I think what's going on is because there's a moment where Scott's like, is this what I think it is? And she's like, what do you think it is? And he's like, it seems like you're going to unphase your hand just enough to kill me. So by saying just enough, meaning like there's some level in there where it's minor damage to herself while killing the person.
But she's never done that.
Sure, but like the implication is that it can happen. Like Cyclops has never actually punched a hole through a mountain. But that's...
Yeah, yes.
No, he hasn't.
Yeah.
When did it happen?
X-Men
in the 60s.
135. You just saying a number?
Could be.
Not through the whole mountain. Not through the whole
That's
mountain.
my point, though, is that they always say... It's in his description that his power is so great that it can punch a hole through a mountain. But we never actually see the upward limit of his power doing that.
He punches a hole through a roof a lot.
Yeah, but a roof is significantly weaker than a mountain.
You don't know that.
He couldn't even punch a hole through a door.
We won't know that
during
until
Civil
we
War.
see him shoot a hole through a roof and then a mountain. And then compare.
My point is that hypothetically she can do that with her power, so it's a credible threat at the very least.
I think it's just
or maybe she's just angry enough to be like, yeah, fuck my fingers.
I think it's just kind of a known thing now that people who phase can unphase just enough to like kill somebody like that and keep like not lose their hand. Mm-hmm. Because like any person who phases does that.
I read a specific book where she did that and they called her on her bluff and she had to pull out because she couldn't do anything.
I think she could. She doesn't. She's not a killer.
Well, either way, she really wanted to kill Cyclops, and he goes through the whole thing. Like, do you really think that if I was in my right mind that I would kill Xavier? Do you think that you don't hate me more than I hate me? I know you're mad. You're angry with me. Logan's angry with me. Everyone's angry with me, but no one's angrier than I am at myself. Like, he goes through that whole spiel, and yeah, she's like, all right, fine. Meanwhile, like, Magic's in the cafeteria part, and I do like the oh no, actually I'm thinking of a couple books ago where Ava's talking about how they were in the kitchen, or rather the torture chamber that you guys have just decided is the kitchen. I like references to that all the time.
Yeah. After the fight between them settles down, it goes to Scott talking to the younger version of himself.
Oh, that's a while from now, actually.
Yeah, because we get the Emma where I thought it was out of character too, where she's yelling at Kitty, saying, "I think you concocted this whole thing with Beast just to bring young Jean Grey here."
Yeah. No, what I was trying to say is, while Scott and Kitty are talking, Magic is like in the cafeteria part of the Xavier school. It's so weird because, again, the panels are all freaking stupid.
Yeah, well, they're all Cyclops'
and
optic blast,
Yeah.
like making the
It's all
difference in
crazy,
panels.
yeah.
But the way that it looks, it almost looks like Carnage is like
Yeah, like
spreading
weird
out.
Carnage tentacles. But anyway, they're realizing that someone else is there, and Ilyana's like, yeah, it's Kitty. And they're all like, oh, she wants to kill Cyclops and stuff. So you have some of the students kind of freaking out about what's happening outside the school while they're having that conversation. And then there's a moment where Scott's like, look, when we thought you were gone, like forever, when you were in space, like I cried for you, like I screamed for you, and I did that until I couldn't do that anymore. But you're back, and we thought Peter was gone, and Peter's back. And for a second, she gets hope, like what he means to say is that maybe Xavier's out there.
She's like, maybe he'll come back, and he's like, oh, he dead.
And he's like, no, that's not what I'm saying. He's
I like
dead.
super killed him. Like, you were just in a bullet, not a missile, a bullet.
He kind of built her up to that, though.
He did. Like that
He
was
said,
kind
"I
of
pray
like
every
a
day
dick
that
moment.
Xavier will find his way back." And then she was like, "Yeah, maybe he can." He's like, "No, he can't."
I made sure of it.
But then
Why
he
would
does.
you even think of that?
We have his brain.
But then he does like 3 different ways.
Yeah, because he took over somebody's body.
Well, but he's also like in heaven with Kurt, and then he's also like got his brain getting taken over by Red Skull.
Yeah, for the whole Axis thing, but like,
So, like,
that
he-
wasn't him coming back, and then the heaven one, he's
No,
still
no,
dead.
it is. His consciousness is in there. Like he
Yeah.
actually fights against the Red Skull. That's the whole point of like the Axis thing.
Yeah, but he's not like back. His consciousness is somehow weirdly spread between 3 different places.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's crazy.
He's in heaven.
No, he's the Red Skull.
He's in
in
Red
Axis
Skull,
and
and he's
fighting
he's
what's his face?
the not Mojo. The was it?
The Shadow King.
Aubrey Plaza.
Yeah, he's fighting Aubrey Plaza.
Oh, yes.
So, anyway, there's like they've come to that understanding. She's like, "Well, I'm not gonna be part of your revolution," and he's like, "Sure, we'll see when the time comes." So it's like a whatever. You guys can stay here, but like when the time,
literally the
yeah.
next week.
Yeah,
It says
1 week later.
yeah, and then you
there's
have
a
that moment.
SpongeBob narrator. 1 week later.
You have that moment with Angel, and he's like, "Finally, you dummies, come to your senses, and you're with us."
Yeah.
Like in the fucking frozen tundras of Canada.
But as soon as like current Scott looks at first class Scott, they're just like, this is weird.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yup.
And it's funny because just last episode we were talking about, you know, the whole big brother, little sister relationship of Scott and Kitty and how she's sort of like, and that's why you're Scott Summers, because they realize the location of the place. But now taken through this context, this prism of like, literally a week ago she almost murdered him.
She got over that real quick.
Like that was one hell of like an act or something.
That's why that part bugs me so much. It's out of place and unneeded.
Well, that's what's weird about like earlier when we were talking about Bendis writing, where it's like, yeah, sometimes he doesn't even realize what he's writing between 2 parallel stories that like he's writing both of, and then there's contextual differences. They're like, oh, how'd that happen?
Considering Scott's powers are fucking up, the paneling kind of makes it seem like he's shooting all over the building while he's trying to talk to people.
Yeah, but it's just scribbles. That's ultimately what's so annoying, is that it's just the guy scribbling.
But yeah, then it goes into the conversation between him and Jean Grey.
Well, first there's that what you said, Emma was freaking out that like they're even there, and she's just like, you know what this is? This is you being Kitty, and Beast just like being mad at me for that thing I did that one time and just making my life a living hell now. And was it Shadowcat's just like, no, that's just what we call like a happy coincidence. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was out of character for Emma to freak out and
storm
like that.
off.
She like threw a fit and stormed off.
Because she's the one who keeps on telling the Stepford Cuckoos to back off of Jean, but then she shows up.
Yeah.
She keeps going back and forth
Yeah.
between whether she's going to hate Jean Grey Because
or whether she's a mature adult.
Yeah, in Battle of the Atom, she was like, "Ugh, not Jean Grey," and then right after she's like, "Oh yeah, be cool with her."
She's weird about it. Like, she doesn't like the fact that young Jean is there, but she's still a kid. Like, Emma's cool with kids. Like, as soon as the old Jean Grey showed up, she was like, "Oh yeah, now it's time."
Yeah, but now
and wanted to fight.
They're a lot closer now in the current. You could say they're almost inside each other.
Jesus. So, yeah, like you said, Scott, he goes up to Jean, and Jean's like, "So you've been avoiding me?" He's like, "I didn't know what was appropriate." And she's like, "Nothing you're thinking."
Yeah.
So that was
She's like, probably nothing, including what you're thinking right now.
Oh, yeah, because
that's inappropriate.
He's had sex with the older version of her. So if he's thinking about that, she looks at his mind. That's like...
Well, and the younger version of her.
Well, yeah.
When he was a younger version of him.
But, like, not that young of a version of her.
Yeah, not that young. They had promise rings and abstinence rings at the same time.
He was huge into the Jonas Brothers.
Before they were born.
Yeah.
He's like a super hipster.
Who? One of them is fucking Jean Grey now.
Ah!
Coincidence?
Probably. I think not.
Or so. Yeah, and then she kind of just... He comes to say hi, and she's kind of just like, "Fuck you." And also, she just happens to be holding their wedding invitation.
Yeah, she brought it with them.
And
because they found that at the Jean Grey school.
Yeah.
So she's had that on.
Well,
her.
no. Scott had it in his safety deposit box. Remember?
Yeah, but he brought it.
He
gave it to her at the Jean Grey school. Is what I'm saying. What I'm saying is she had it at the Jean Grey school and brought it with her.
Yeah.
To give to Scott for like a moment.
And meanwhile, Scott's probably like, "I thought I left this in the bank."
Yeah.
He's like, "That mother." He went in my bank and took my stuff.
My nudie pictures.
The nudie pictures of Emma Frost. Yeah. And cut to Wolverine with his jacket.
Mystique. It was Mystique who found it. So Mystique has all the Emma Frost nudes.
Who took the jacket back? I thought we had... No, I was calling back to a joke that, like, Wolverine then finds the pictures in his jacket, and he's like, "Thank you, Scott Summers." So, anyway, Jean gives him back the invitation, and she's like, "The thing is, you lived it, and I can't even imagine it." And then just walks away.
Burn.
Yeah.
Well, and she said, she's like, "I know everything." He's like, "I look through Beast's head." And like, Beast didn't know shit.
Yeah, that was kind of like, yeah, Beast didn't know everything, not between us, and yeah. Which is a weird thing, too, is like, well, you
He's
also...
gallivanting with Avengers.
Yeah, he lived it, and you don't have to imagine it, but thanks to his thoughts and you reading them, you actually don't have to imagine it. You saw it. You said it was inappropriate.
And Beast had cameras. You know he did.
And then cut to just two sad boys sad-boying on a hill.
As one does when you're a sad boy.
As two do.
Yeah.
And they're sad boys. And yet,
when
as
two are
one does,
sad boy.
because when two are one sad boy, yeah. Because there's even that joke, the whole "what's mine is yours" in there, and it's like, well, yeah, I don't know whether that's clever or if I should be mad at that point.
I liked it.
Yeah, that
I had
a
mixed
zinger
feelings,
from
is what
Scott
I'm
right
saying,
there.
yeah.
And then they get into the whole, like, older Scott is imparting his wisdom on younger Scott, and he's like, yeah, stay away from redheads. Also, stay away from blondes. Maybe just stay away from psychics in general. And he's like, well, so brunettes? And he's like, you should probably stay away from them, too.
It's like, all right, so no women.
Just date bald chicks.
Wolverine.
Yeah, Wolverine.
So, yeah, he's like, so Xavier. And he's like, this speech again. All right. And it ends.
He opens up the earlier part of this comic. And he's like, do you see
He's
that?
like, "Oh, I left the oven on." Gets up and leaves.
You should know what I'm about to say. You'll say it later.
Yeah, and that's the end of the issue. I like this issue, and I hate this issue at the same time. I hate it mostly because of all those close-ups in the art.
Yeah, I mean the last page is awesome of him being blasting
angry.
everywhere.
Yeah,
he's Vegetaing.
He's blasting everywhere.
Of just like the lack of control. Like he controls absolutely nothing in his life, And
he picked the base where they stay.
he picked the base. Yeah.
He's like, he's gonna be so cool. But yeah, so this leads up into the whole trial of Jean Grey that we're gonna be covering soon, and then after this, it kind of leads into X-Men vs. Shield.
Yeah, which I mean, ultimately, we end up like we're gonna be deep diving into like Scott's psyche and stuff.
You know what this was? You know how like Batman vs Superman wasn't like its own movie? It was like a trailer for a bunch of other superhero movies that DC wanted to do.
Yeah,
this is what this arc was just like, hey, we're gonna do a lot of cool stuff. Like, you guys should read these other books, because they're like, all of these were like set up for like, oh, well, we'll use this one set up Magneto, and we'll use this one to set up the what we're doing.
Trial of Jean Grey. Yeah,
it was just a bunch of setup books, really.
Yeah, and the setup for the Inhuman thing.
Yeah. They're setting up the whole Terrigenesis cloud.
I don't know if it's a dive into his psyche of guilt. Like, I get it, and at the end, that like young Scott's been that's the whole thing he's been wanting to do, is talk to his older self to understand why he even did it, and if it's true that he did it. And it's sort of like, this is the moment Scott has to be honest with himself, literally. Like, if he's just been bullshitting himself this entire time that he didn't kill Xavier, which, I mean, we all read it, though. Like, we know inherently he wasn't in control, that the Dark Phoenix took over, and that he was grasping at even consciousness, let alone control.
He just wanted to plant some food, man.
Yeah.
That's all he wanted, and they kept on.
Which is like, it's sort of like when someone does something inadvertently, and then everyone keeps getting them shit, so they feel more and more guilty, whether or not they were actually responsible. And it's like, to the point where they feel like they are responsible for, say, like someone who's driving, hits black ice, and then ends up killing somebody because their car spun out.
Yeah, or like, it's kind of like when you're vaguely, slightly annoyed, and everybody keeps telling you to chill out.
It's, you just get more and more mad.
So every time somebody would tell you to chill out, that's them knocking out another one of the Phoenix Five.
Yeah.
And he's just building up and building up. And until finally they're like, chill out. And he's like, I'm cold!
Yeah. So, I don't know. It just feels weird. It feels weird to have this sort of rehashed over and over again.
And what we're rehashing over and over again is that you should go like the Facebook page, Twitter, and the Instagram. Everything at Mex-Men Podcast.
Yeah, and we got shirts and whatnot, and you can buy those.
Well, onesies. Sorry,
Just
Justin.
our TeePublic at Mex-Men Podcast on TeePublic.
Get a tapestry. Get a pin.
All of that available in the show notes. Also, if you like our outro, the link to the full video of that song will also be in the show notes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're agreeing, man.
Yeah. So I'm glad you guys agree with the things that
Are you agreeing that we agree?
He is agreeing that we agree.
Anything you want to say about the show notes?
No,
read them.
Nothing that's produced yet.
Yeah. So yeah, the link for everything will be included in the show notes, like I said, and you know what that is? That's what it is.